In this video, I want to talk about the settings menu, which is under the file menu. And if you go down over here, you have this option called settings. So let's click on that. And when we do that, this little dialog box opens, and I'm going to go through the main points over here. So at the top over here, you have your project home directory, and this is the directory which will normally the program will go to whenever you say you want to open a new project or browse through the existing projects. This is the directory where all your projects are saved, and you can modify that so that it will go to another directory if you wanted to. Over here, these are the company settings, the settings directory, and I'm going to explain this in a separate video because this requires some explaining. All I'll say right now is that in Comosys we have three tiers of settings. One, what we call the factory defaults, then what you call your company settings, and then what we call the local settings for individual projects, which might be different. And you can access all of these depending on the way you've set your system up. But at the moment, I'm going to skip that. Let's move on to this one over here. So this option is for the view up-down limits. So every time you create a new view, let's say we have all these little buttons over here to create plan views and views by 3 points and 2 points, etc. So whenever you create a new view, it's created with the default up-down value. So these are those up-down default values which will be used in the creation of the new view. Over here we have your auto backup settings. So right now it is set up to auto backup whenever there's a save option. And so what it'll do is it'll keep every time you save, it's going to keep the previous version as well, just in case you want to revert to. And we have an auto save option as well. So you can turn this on, and every whatever minutes you choose over here. So every 20 minutes, it's going to auto save even if you forget to save. Let's move on to the user interface over here. And over here, we've got two colors, and there's a selection color as well, which you can modify. So every time you select something, it turns red, but you can modify what color you want that to be. And these two colors represent the color of the background of the view. So for example, if I were to convert both of them to white, for example, let's convert this one and this one, or let's convert one of them to white and one of them to gray, because that creates a gradient effect. And let's say okay. And now if I were to press Control F10, it will basically update the view, and every new view will be created according to that color. So this setting, let's go back to it. This setting basically decides what the color of the views will be. I personally prefer the black colors, but you can, depending on your choice, you can do whatever you want. So let's move on from there. Oh, this can be important on certain machines. So the OpenGL rendering engine can work with the hardware, depending can work with your GPU, or it can be software-based rendering. And if in rare cases there are some problems with the hardware, so your GPU might not be working well with Comosys. So if that happens, what you can do is you can come and select the software option over here, and that will usually solve the problem. But normally we would recommend that you leave it at hardware, because then the rendering speed is comparatively faster. Moving on, this is the quick rotation, the quick rotation and movement settings. These are also available from within the view as well. They're not really important. You have the reversed mouse wheel. You can rotate about the center of the selected object. This is a very nice feature. So in Comosys, normally we don't have to necessarily. So normally, if you right click, you can say select the origin of interest. And then if I select, let's say, any point over there, then I can, when I start rotating, it's going to rotate around that point. But there's another way of doing that. And that is that instead of right clicking and saying selecting the origin of interest, which takes a few seconds, what you can just do is you can, when let's say you're zooming in somewhere, the moment you select something, that selected piece automatically becomes the center of interest. So it saves you from a bit of, so if I'm zooming in over there, if I select this piece over there, it automatically becomes my center of interest. And when I rotate using the right mouse button, automatically it starts rotating about that object. And that makes this whole operation much faster, instead of using lots of shortcuts and then selecting a point and basically going through that procedure. All you do is you just select any object on the screen and you start rotating around that. So this field basically tells the program that rotate about the center of the selected object. If you turn this on, which is it's on by default, then it will behave like I just showed you. I think the rest is self-explanatory. We have the design ratio colors over here, which basically means that when you're doing design, element design according to some code, let's say the American code or the European code, etc. Over here, we have this option of giving color ranges. So between this and this stress ratio or capacity ratio or lambda ratio or deflection ratio, you can choose which ratios will be included in the coloring. But whatever those selected ratios are, the color ranges can be modified by using these numbers over. If you want to add more colors, then you just press the add button. And if you want to delete a particular color and you want to make the range less fine, then you can just press the delete button like that.